Hello, Forgers, and welcome to Metasight, a podcast where we discuss SoulForge Fusion mechanics, meta, and maneuvers. I'm Ankh, and today we are continuing with Shadows Over Solis spoilers. This is the last week of the spoilers. I have several spicy cards to talk about today. I'm also fighting a cold, so you may see more transitions than normal. But yeah, let's get to it. So, this week we've had a few spoilers already come out, as well as an article from Stoneblade. And this is a bit of a surprise, but a whole new mechanic that they've added, which is Darkforge. Darkforge creatures, Darkforge spells, and to get a sense of the mechanics of the Darkforge, it's a sort of risk reward kind of mechanic, right? So what it wants you to do is take your life total down 40 or less, or say like 30 or less, or even 20 or less. And if you do that, you get some major benefits, like in the case of this Darkforge loyalty here. A lot of these new cards will do self-damage, or proc off of having certain life total, like, for example, this loyalty here. And yeah, so this is the whole Darkforge mechanic. And what we have seen is that a number of creatures from Alpha, Whitefang Pass, and possibly even the last winter have come back in their Blighted or Darkforge form. Sunder was succumbed to the Darkforge, so did Cersei, and there will be some Darkforged themed Forgeborn, but there's a lot of Darkforged themed cards. So this is just like a little sneak peek at Darkforge loyalty. This is the Darkforge version of the loyalty cycle. Interestingly enough, it's one of the first times a spell has shown up in all the factions as a non-betrayer. So it looks like Darkforge loyalty you can get in any deck. I'm assuming you'll have to have some sort of cards that synergize with the Darkforge mechanics. You know, some of these cards that deal self-damage. But now that we kind of got that out of the way, I want to sort of move into the cards that I get to spoil this week. The first one I'm going to talk about is the take on Brightsteel Sentinel, one of my favorite cards. And in this set, it is corrupted into the Voidsteel Sentinel. So this version is the same stats, 5/4 at level 1. It's a Darkforge robot now, so it has a Darkforge type. And has deploy, this deals 4 damage to you. Your creatures get 3 armor this turn. So if you compare that to the original, you can only give your robots 3 armor this turn, but didn't have to damage yourself to do that. At level 2, same, you just take 4 damage, you do 5 armor to your whole team. And at level 3, again, you take 4 damage, get 8 armor to your whole team. It's very, very much the same progression as the original Brightsteel Sentinel, only it's much more flexible in that it can hit your whole team. You don't have to have just robots. So it you know, with the original Brightsteel Sentinel, it was a bit limited. You can, you know, it would restrict kind of what creatures you're playing on the board. This one doesn't matter. You can, whatever creatures are on the board are going to get protected. I think this card is amazing. I love playing with Brightsteel Sentinel. I feel like it was overstated for its effect. You know, baseline, it was a 5/7, you know, assuming it was blocking that turn. You know, it absorbs the armor, has some health left over, and it also has the incidental effect of pumping your teams with armor for a turn. But, well, yeah, with this Voidsteel Sentinel, you get that 8 armor across the board. And if you ever played with a card like Scipion Augmentation, you know, giving your whole team high amounts of armor in a turn can be backbreaking for your opponent. You know, usually I'm not a big fan of temporary armor, but when you're giving this much armor to your whole team, that really makes a huge difference. Like, you know, these ones can really just completely blank an entire combat cycle, as well as protect your creatures from damage-based removal for a turn. And given that we know there's going to be a lot of blast in the set, this can help keep your creatures alive to rumble in combat. And use the shields to absorb damage from that blast, keep it on the board so it can at least trade or, hit back whatever blasted it. So yeah, I am super stoked about Void Steel Sentinel. Bright Steel Sentinel was one of my pet cards. Over the summer, I got a Betrayer one, so I had a lot of fun with a double Bright Steel Sentinel deck. So I am stoked at the idea of getting like a double Void Steel Sentinel deck now. So moving right along, let's take a look at our next Darkforge creature. But let's look at the original. We got the Pterodon Mauler. What is he now? Well, now he is the Pterodon Mauler. This is a 4/6 dinosaur, Darkforged dinosaur. Same trigger ability. When this damages the player, another one of your creatures gets +2/+2. But the deploy is different. So in this one, if it replaces a creature, it deals 4 damage to you. So interestingly enough, the damage procs off hitting a player. Therefore, if you utilize the play ability, you get that +2/+2 immediately. Follows the same progression. +4/+4, same stats. And +8/+8, same stats. Now, interestingly enough about this one, you're taking 4 damage at every level. And it only triggers if you replace something, so it's going to love to get on top of like gizmos or minions to do the 4 damage to you. But it also allows you not to take the damage. A lot of these creatures, like we saw with the Void Steel Sentinel and maybe some of the other spoilers, part of their deployability or activated ability forces you to take the damage. With the Pterodon Mauler, if you don't need that buff immediately, say it's like the only creature you're playing, you're not forced to take the damage if you play it onto an empty board. So I do like the way that's designed, and it does play homage to the original replacement synergy of the Pterodon Mauler. You do lose out in that it doesn't give itself attack buff, so its stats are a little bit lower, but the fact that you get that immediate attack and health to one of your creatures, I think more than makes up for the lack of getting the aggressive and breakthrough effect and a little bit of attack that you had with Pterodon Mauler. It's common, we'll see it a lot. Glad to see that there's some dinosaurs that succumbed to the Darkforge as well. And yeah, that's 2 of the cards down, but oh man, the next one that Stoneblade gave me is very exciting. So, something I did not expect, and I doubt many people expected. Let's take a little trip down memory lane. In Alpha, they printed a cycle of cards that we know as the Omnis. We had the Sparking Omni, we had the Hardened Omni, we had the Freezing Omni, and we had the Disintegrating Omni. And now, back in Shadows Over Solis, I am excited to introduce you to the Cataclysm Omni. So this card is... Oh, I'm so excited to spoil this card. So it's Darkforged Mage, has high stats, 4/6 at level 1. Its ready ability triggers off of playing Darkforged Loyalty, which you looked at earlier. And it reads at level 1, you activate it, give one of your creatures +2 attack. But it gets better. At level 2, it's a 5/9. Same ready ability, and activate one of your creatures gets +3 attack. This turn it gets aggressive. And then at level 3, this bad boy is a 6/13. Same ready ability, and when you activate it, you give a creature +5, aggressive, and breakthrough for the turn. This card is going to be a game ender. I can see, especially if you have the Darkforged Loyalty, which we can probably assume will occur in any deck that has the Omni, just the way like a Lightning Spark was pretty much guaranteed for a Sparking Omni, etc. It's going to be very easy to ready it and activate it multiple times in a turn when you draw that Darkforged Loyalty, especially if you can meet the free condition. And even like at level 1, the stats are crazy. Like, we know that, I've always talked about, and I drill this in, every time in a lot of my Metasight videos, is that at base level 1, the average stat allocation to be about 12 points. And it's a 4/6 with an activate of 2 attack. The fail case for this card is a 6/6, which is right on curve. At level 2, it's an 8/9. You lose like 1 point as a fail case. Still, it gives it aggressive, so that's a bonus. You have an 8/9 aggressive. Could be worse. And then you have an 11/13 aggressive breakthrough. That's like the fail case of this card. Um, Dropping this, like, I can just see turns where you drop the Cataclysm Omni on your second action off Forge, have that Darkforged loyalty in hand and another creature on board, and suddenly you have two attacking massive breakthrough creatures just coming for your opponent's face. So yeah, Cataclysm Omni, this is so cool. Additionally, another thing to note about it, Darkforged loyalty, as we talked about earlier, can appear in any of the factions. It's not a betrayer, so you could very easily double dip on the Darkforged loyalty, get multiple of those in your Cataclysm Omni deck, and having like a betrayer Cataclysm Omni with like a decent list on both halves could be an entire archetype of its own, I can imagine. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can compare the Cataclysm Omni to. There's a lot of cards that previously would give attack and aggressive breakthrough, that kind of stuff, like the Flamebreak Invoker and the Uranti Heartseeker, that kind of stuff. But this one is just like levels above that. So definitely stoked for this. Just as a note, don't forget, this weekend, on March 8th, there will be the pre-release event online. If you haven't signed up for it, check the Stoneblade Discard and the news articles for a link. That should be a lot of fun. It's going to be a sealed deck tournament. It's going to be first look at all of these new cards of Shadows Over Solis. Get a booster kit just for signing up, and then for every win, you get another half deck of the new set, and it's a week before it becomes available to everybody. So if you are free on Saturday, definitely join up. I don't think I'll be able to make it, so I'm a little bit bummed about that, but we had plans for this weekend well in advance, so maybe if I'm in a place where I can sign on for an hour or two, I might try and sneak in for a round or two. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed these spoilers. Again, leave a like and subscribe if you like my content, so I know that you guys enjoy this, and I'd love to hear what people's thoughts are on these new Darkforged creatures. Very interested in this whole like self-damage, self-sacrifice for big gains mechanic. And even with this Omni here, you don't even need to really do any of that to make it work. So yeah, Shadows Over Solis. This is going to be a banger of a set. So I will catch you guys all for the next episode of Metasight, and have a great day.